Let's talk a little bit here about a game I like to call rapid fire questions. It's in the title.
Okay.
I'm going to throw questions your
Yeah.
way. You kind of answer the first thing kind of pops in your head and be
All right.
happy to expand on it. Please do. Okay, so I know throughout your career, now you're as a writer, editor, filmmaker, you have interviewed many people, filmmakers, um, actors, what have you. Has there ever been someone you haven't interviewed that you would have loved to have done so throughout your career?
Oh God, thousands of people I'd love to have interviewed. Very some for very specific reasons. When we did Aliens Expanded, I really wanted to talk to Walter Hill.
Hmm.
Because I think he's vitally important in the whole process of those Aliens films and doesn't speak very much about them. He said no, and I would love to have just had that alternative viewpoint. With the thing, Rob Bottin, he's a recluse. He doesn't want to do interviews anymore. Tried very hard, but he wouldn't do it. So there are those kind of sort of practical ones you kind of want for your story. You know, I, I would love to. I've met Spielberg, never interviewed him. I would love to do that because he's so important to me. So lots. I love talking to directors. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love talking to all sorts of different people, but I especially love talking to directors.
Me
I
too.
love learning about how it happens and how they create, and I get a lot from that. And often very, very smart people. So you can get a very stimulating interview from them. And I don't think there's a director alive I wouldn't like to speak to because I just love that kind of that process. And of course, there's the ones that have gone. I can never get a chance to interview. God, to be able to interview Alfred Hitchcock,
Hmm.
or James Stewart, or Howard Hawks, or Bette Davis. That era of film. I would love to just know what they were like and experience that.
Next one. Again, throughout your career, I'm sure you've been on many movie sets and done interviews and such. If there is a movie set you would love to have visited throughout, like all your favorite movies, which one would you have liked to have just stayed like on like a few days on just to see how all the chaos or anything else would have looked like just in person?
Um, I mean, again, this is it's opening up Heaven's Gate to me, saying which what would it be like to be on Unforgiven, or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Imagine being on that set. Oh my God! But I would say Alien. I would love to. I know it's a very tense and difficult set at times, but imagine watching the chest burster.
Hmm.
Not being too near because you get covered in stuff, but if you're saying being a silent observer and not
Yes.
interfering with people to be on Alien would have been incredible. Um, and then as I say, to be in one of those great Clint Eastwood westerns, to be out in the kind of the great outdoors. I love that side of filmmaking where it's sort of the environment is incredibly important. So God, and I'm sure I could come up with a thousand others because just I love being on sets, and I always say this to younger journalists at Empire, you have to wait around a lot. I don't know if you've been on sets, but you have to wait around a lot to do your or what you might think of as your job, the interviewing, because the filmmaking comes first for obvious reasons. And but I always say there's never a wasted second on a set. Even if you are not doing anything, you are watching, absorbing. Detail is God. I read the Cameron Crowe memoir quite recently about his early times as a music journalist. And he talked about going on tour. I think it was the Allman Brothers for the
Hmm.
very first time. And it said this great sentence: it's the story is everything. It's everything you see and hear and feel and touch. And I thought that's so good, and I think that's true of what I try and do. It's the story is everything. So if you're writing about a film in immense detail, it could be what the caterer is doing as much as it's what James Cameron's doing. It's that texture to me is the delight.
Um, Next one. What's the scariest moment you've seen in a movie? It doesn't necessarily have to be a horror movie. There's been scary moments in the movies, but what's one that really pops in your head as a scary moment that really terrified you?
If I can do TV, but it does fit. I was 9 years old, and my mum let me watch Salem's Lot, the Toby
Hmm.
Hooper one,
Yeah.
on TV, which I think is terrific, and still one of the best King adaptations, I think. And there's the bit. Not only is the bit where the child scratches at the window, which is, did me enough, but there's the bit where the guy's in jail and the kind of mist comes in and
Mm.
up it springs, goes like that. Oh, yeah, she had to turn the TV off. She had to get me into bed. Yeah, she could see my face. It was like, and that stays with me, that moment. Yeah, I've watched it again a few times, and obviously it doesn't quite grab me as it did then.
No.
Um, yeah, but I think there are other things, that's scared. But I think there are traumatic moments that stay with you. Bambi is traumatic. It's
Mm.
a film about trauma in many ways. That just affects you and stays with you. In ways that are kind of corny, but absolutely true. The child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, it's scarier than any slasher movie I've ever seen. I think it's the moment, if you are probably from 8 to 12, and your imagination is really beginning to sort of form, those are primal things. When you watch Wizard of Oz and you meet the witch for the first time, that's a primal thing that sort of switches into your psyche and never goes away. Whereas I think maybe some of the later scares, as good as they are, you've got defenses and you're ready for them and you know it's a movie and all those things. So I find it's those initial ones that really trigger me.
Last one for rapid fire, and this is possibly the most important question you're going to hear all year.
All right.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes, it's not my first choice, but I quite like it. It's the mix of sweet and salty with the ham or the bacon it's kind of interesting. So I've never had a problem with pineapple on pizza.
You are wrong. Continuing on. Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content.